Welcome into the Echo Sportscast, number 81.
I'm Jackson Bull.
And I'm Ben Sargent. This week, we do not have a normal show because we don't have a whole lot going on as we continue to transition into the spring sports. But we do have a couple of pieces of news before we get to our main attraction, which is the conversation that we had with Dave Nighbor, who is, of course, being inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame on May 2nd, which is it was a really cool conversation. But first, Jackson, before we get to all the nuts and bolts and everything like that, tell us a little bit about a couple of updates from sports across the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so let's start with Canadore men's volleyball and I guess Canadore athletics. They held their athletic banquet earlier this week. Lots of awards given out, but most importantly to their volleyball player, Sean Malherbe. I think.
Well, that's the name we're going with.
He was Canadore's athlete of the year and volleyball player of the year, like male best volleyball player. And he is transferring or committing to Queens. So an OCAA player moving up to the OUA world. I'm not sure how often that happens, but I can tell you not very often from schools like Canadore. So that's fantastic for him. And he won a ton of awards this year. OCAA Player of the Year in the East, First Team CCAA All-Canadian, OCAA Scoring Champion, OCAA First Team All-Star, and of course Canadore Volleyball MVP. So,
well, congratulations to him.
Absolutely. And then in the NDA sports world, just good old badminton.
The only thing happening.
All of the pre-NDA tournaments have concluded. So all the athletes who are qualified are qualified. There's a seeding meeting while we're recording this Thursday. So
seeding meeting?
Seeding meeting today to see where they're going to be placed and who's playing in what, basically. Yep. And then NDA will be next week on Wednesday evening and Thursday morning to see who moves on to NASA and who wins the banners.
So you're saying there's actually footage to get next week?
Yes.
I have to do something after school. Actually, no. I don't know why I said after. I don't go to school. I work.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that. No, actually, because I'll probably hit up the Thursday for the finals and everything. So it'll actually be Thursday. I hope. I have to look at my schedule and make sure I'm free. But I think the finals are set for around 10:30-ish.
Yeah, or 10:30, 11. It kind of depends on how fast it's rolling, how fast like Mattawa, Franco gets there in the morning. Then we can start. But and I guess how far you go into the Wednesday evening. Because you kind of just cut at 8, but you could bleed one way or the other.
Knock on wood, it shouldn't be a snow day because it's supposed to be like 15 degrees next week. So if it's a snow day, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But are you going to be there the whole time? Are you coaching? Or
I'm going to try and be there as much as possible.
Okay. Are you going to be there for the final?
Yeah, I'll be there with you for the finals.
Okay,
for sure.
Cool. Sweet. So you'll have to let me know kind of in the morning where things are at so I can get there on time.
I will text you when it's a good time.
So that means that it's officially back to getting some footage because then the next week's NASA.
Yep.
And there's also a NDA. We were talking about this. There's kind of like a hockey tournament kind of going on for the 9s and 10s.
Yep.
And the, I guess, 7 and 8s. I know that they've been playing their hockey stuff, but I guess there's a pretty big tournament that's coming up, which will be exciting for that next week as well.
Yeah, it's just an opportunity for high school coaches to see what they have and for like students to have fun with some of their friends who play a different level than them. Mm-hmm. If they play house league and they have some friends who play higher level, then they can play and you all have to play together. And you get to see like some of the top talent. Like I remember watching Briar Long when he was in grade 9 and grade 10 and he was like going to the OHL and he would come and play in this tournament and other kids like that.
Yeah, a lot of big tournaments happened in that, like AAA. I know the OHL. I know Team NOHA was just out of the OHL Cup. The Trappers who won the I don't know what the trophy is called. Just the Great North League. They don't have like a really cool name for the trophy. I don't think. They went to, I think it's the Centennial Cup is what they call it. And I know they dropped in the round robin. They ended up winning their first game and then they dropped some stuff. So hockey looks like it's petering out. I know the Battalion are now into the next round, I think against Brantford.
Yeah, they lost
the Bulldogs.
8-1 on Wednesday night. So
well, that's I know that it was a pretty thrilling game on Saturday.
Yes.
Double overtime here at the Gardens against Peterborough. So good luck to them as they go hopefully try to bounce back into the Voodoos. They're out now. They're Yeah, so hockey's starting to dwindle down. Unlike football, it actually comes to an end.
Yeah.
There's no football. But let's get to our main attraction. So I had a chance to sit down with Dave Nighbor, who joined me virtually from out west. He's out in Calgary, and we had a great conversation about his career in cross-country skiing and bringing that kind of Nordic skiing to the forefront. Of course, Steve Omichel is the person you think of when you think of skiing and I think winter sports in North Bay. He has a whole complex named after him. He went to the Olympics, but that was alpine skiing, which is when you go down the slopes. This is Nordic skiing, which is basically cross-country skiing. And Dave had a very storied career. He's been on the international stage a number of times. He didn't quite get to the 2006 Olympics. He was a stand-in, or I think that's what the official term is. He was a reserve, basically, if somebody got injured. So, but we went through kind of his whole career, what that was like, his time coaching. He coached Nipissing for a number of years. And, of course, now he's doing graphic design, marketing stuff out in Calgary with his company. So let's throw it over to the conversation that I had with Dave Nighbor following a word from today's lead sponsor, Source for Sports. It's almost that time of year. Early mornings at the rink, fresh notebooks and backpacks, and a community gearing up for another great season of varsity sports. At Source for Sports North Bay, we're proud to be part of it all. Whether it's finding your kid's first pair of skates, gearing up for tryouts, or outfitting your team for the season ahead, we've got you covered. Because here, we're not just a sports store, we're neighbors, coaches, teammates, and fans. And we're proud to cheer you on every shift, step, and stride of the way. Visit Source for Sports North Bay at 1321 Fisher Street and let us help you along your way. So I'm joined here with Dave Nighbor, who's one of the 5 inductees for this year's North Bay Sports Hall of Fame that's happening out in May. And he's joining me remotely because he's not in North Bay right now. He's currently out west in Calgary. Dave, thanks for coming on the Sportscast.
Thanks for having me.
Maybe for the people who aren't as familiar with your story or who you are, of course, you're a very decorated and accomplished skier. You represented Canada on the world stage. You've been part of the Olympics as I believe it was an alternate as well in 2006. So for those who aren't aware of your story, maybe just give a little bit of a quick bio of who exactly you were in the sports world.
Yeah, I grew up in North Bay, and I'd always skied at North Bay Nordic. My family was all involved. My sisters were also really strong skiers. My parents were the coaches of the team, and we had a really strong group of people that went through at that time. And I had qualified for my first World Championships, World Juniors, when I was 17 and was on the national team, junior national team at age 16, and competed in 3 consecutive World Juniors, 4 consecutive World Under 23s, and World Championships. And as you noted, also, 2006 alternate for Torino, and skied up until just shy of 2010.
Yeah, and that's so impressive. Like, I don't think people understand how good athletes are at the elite level, and then how good even those on the fringe are compared. Like, I love the idea that somebody had where they should put normal people in the Olympics on as well, just so you understand how absolutely crazy good those people are. So let's talk a little bit about your time on the world stage. I believe it was 8 times that you represented Canada is what I saw. So what was that experience like? Because of course, with Nordic skiing, I would imagine there's a little bit less. It's not like there's a league that you can really go into, right? So I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but probably that national level is the goal for a lot of people, right?
It is. To be able to get onto a national team, that doesn't automatically buy you a ticket to all the World Cups and World Championships. You have to qualify independently for that. Being on the national team allows you to have the support of coaches, a lot of the sponsors, government carding. There's a lot of perks that come along with it, but it makes it even more challenging because it doesn't secure you any spot. Anybody that is off national team can still go to the qualifying races and edge you out. So there is the extra support there, but it never makes things any easier at all.
Yeah, and what was, I guess, what is the process for people who want to go through that, who are right now in that kind of aspiring age, who are looking to see what's next? What was the process to get onto those teams?
The first World Juniors was always interesting. When I saw myself and other people that I know and people that I've coached, that's always kind of a wild card, because you go to World Junior trials and you know generally who the competition is, but really anybody can make it. And it could be from a small club like in North Bay or Northern BC or in Calgary. Uh, People don't really know always how you line up, and I've seen people that show up that hadn't even left the province before and show up and make that team. So at that stage, it's really anybody's game. And then after that, the funnel gets a little bit tighter year by year, where the stronger skiers continue to excel. So those trial races become a little bit more challenging, or people qualify overseas. But what's hopeful is that anybody from any club can make it to the national circuit. It's starting off with just doing your provincial cups, traveling around with your club to do races in Ontario, and then from there you can go to nationals. And most clubs, including North Bay Nordic, have representation at nationals as juniors, and that gives you that national exposure. And if you start getting on podiums there, then you have a good chance of getting picked up on some of the different national level programs. We call them training centers. There's a few hubs in Canada that people can join, and you have to qualify to be on them, but then it gives you an opportunity to do more international racing.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. I was looking at an article. I think this was probably 2009. It was like an old Beta Day article. It was talking about when you were for that. Well, I guess it would have been before that, because this was there was a General Mills, and I think you know where I'm going with this a little bit. But there was a campaign, and this was a very early mid 2000s thing. I don't think you see this anymore, like cereal box campaigns. But General Mills had you as an aspiring Olympian, which is kind of a flashback a little bit to that time. What was the journey like for you getting into the journey for you when it comes to trying to get to the Olympics and being selected as an alternate? Maybe take us through that journey.
Yeah, well, that story is less less, I would say, fond, because that was an Olympics that I was very, very close to making it, and I was only 21, and all of my friends, including my roommate, all made it. And I still got to go overseas, and I was traveling around, and I was in Italy at the time during the Olympics, hoping that one of my best friends would get sick and I can go in there. Kidding, but um, it it's funny as an athlete in that position at that age, with the motivation that I had. It was really hard to ever celebrate any success, because by the time I had achieved something, I was already looking at the next thing. So as a kid, to think about getting to that spot, I would think that I would probably want to celebrate it, get a tattoo, and really mark that. But at that point, instead of being happy for myself, I was more disappointed that I couldn't go to the Olympics. And then uh, I was then setting my sights on getting on World Cup after the Olympics, and so on. So it's yeah, I can look back, and it's a lot of that is a fog, because my mind is always on the next thing.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And then, of course, you come back to North Bay, and you start getting into the coaching side of stuff as well. Like you went to, I believe it was Nipissing in 2014, I want to say, was around that time. So at what point did you decide you wanted to transition from competing to coaching? And then how did you decide what exactly we were going to do in the coaching sphere?
Yeah, it's a good question. While I was still ski racing, so all the way through the 2000s, probably from 2004 or five, to the time that I stopped ski racing, I was coming back every summer to work with the North Bay Nordic Ski Club. And I would put on a multi-day session where I do one-on-one with the athletes, work, do some theory with the whole team, and really try to boost up that program. And the motivation at that time, and also when I came back to North Bay after school in 2014, is I remembered how much of a struggle it was for me in a small club growing up. My parents were really good coaches, but they were also learning the sport at the same rate that we were. They got into cross country skiing in the same year that we did as kids. So we're trying to figure it out as we go along. And when you're up against racing against Norwegians and uh, in cultures that is baked into their lives, and everybody knows high performance ski racing, you realize that you need young athletes to uh, rely on people that have that knowledge to fast track them to success. So that's my motivation when I went into coaching, was to look at all athletes as if it was me when I was younger and try to give that advice and technique support that I knew that it would have been huge for me to get at that age.
Mm-hmm. And I was actually, as we were talking about like the cross country skiing, of course, it's when a lot of people think skiing, they think the alpine, like down slopes. What was it to you that pushed you towards cross country versus like alpine skiing?
Well, my parents actually wanted us to do alpine skiing. So when I was 3 years old, they put skis on me for the first time, and I was at Kinsman Park in North Bay. And I think I went only about 2 meters before my leg twisted around and I broke my leg. And so I was in a cast, and the as my parents tell me, is that to build confidence to get back in alpine skiing, they wanted me to do some cross country skiing first, and then transition over to alpine. So we started at that very young age, and once we started skiing, there were people at the club that would see me and my sisters skiing around that were saying, "Wow, these kids have a lot of potential in the sport." And it was a passion of my parents at the time. So we just got locked in. Um, Being an alpine ski racer always seemed a lot cooler than being a Nordic nerd, but that was the life we were in, and we loved it.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting thing too, because as you said, when you're going up on the international stage, you're going up against people who like the culture is ingrained here. But then if you look at North Bay, there is a lot of cross country skiing that happens. Like Nipissing has it. I almost feel like, is it fair to say like North Bay is almost more into cross country skiing than it is into actual like alpine skiing?
Oh, 100%. And there's the smaller hill, Laurentian in town, and then Antoine a little bit bigger that people can go to. So the ski racing that you get exposed to alpine is just a little bit different because you can't get the fast, downhill. Do a lot more slalom work and other things. So more the technical side of alpine. Uh, Cross country for sure. It is, and there's a few people, key people in North Bay who really drive that culture. And like Toivo Prof up at Nipissing, he's the Nipissing ski team coach and involved with North Bay Nordic. He got those trails back in shape. He's out there grooming all the time. Basically unlocks it for people in town, and you need a few of those key people to enable that culture to grow.
Yeah. And are you still involved in like, do you still do any sort of coaching with Nipissing or here locally at all?
Last year, when Nipissing came out for nationals in Canmore, uh, in the mountains, I worked with them, which was fantastic. So I was able to go with some skis with them, do some technique, and most importantly, grind away in the wax room. You need a lot of hands on deck at those sort of races. So I told the Nipissing staff, whenever there's races out west, if they can't make it or if they need additional staff, that I can always help out. Harder for me to get to the east. And when I first moved out here as well, I was working with another national level program. Did that for 2 years, and then needed to slow down, focus on my career and working on my house. So taking a little bit of a step back in terms of the amount of hours I put in, but still very much connected to the community.
Yeah, you bring up your career. You're the owner of Nine Lives Design, so you do well. You can obviously speak to this more, but you're in the creative field. You're doing design work. I think websites as well. I believe.
Yeah, websites and branding, and are my primary part of Nine Lives Design, but do photography, videography, marketing, social media.
We often talk about the rhythm of life in North Bay. For Amanda, that rhythm was fast. Hockey practices, baseball games, juggling a full-time career, and keeping up with two energetic boys. But life hit pause after routine surgery led to a call she never expected. Stage 2 breast cancer. No symptoms, no warning. Suddenly, Amanda was facing a double mastectomy, reconstruction, weeks of chemotherapy and radiation treatments, and several additional surgeries. The path ahead was overwhelming. Through every stage, one question stayed with her. How do I keep being mom for my boys? Amanda's care team at the North Bay Regional Health Center made all the difference. They understood how deeply she wanted to hold on to familiar routines, cheering from the stands, being there at bedtime, staying present in the moments that gave her strength. Their compassion kept her connected to the two people who kept her fighting. She stayed present, she stayed grounded, she stayed mom. This holiday season, help ensure patients have access to the exceptional care they need during life's most challenging moments. Your gift helps patients like Amanda stay connected to the people they love while strengthening healthcare for families across our region. Visit nbrhcfoundation.ca or call 705-495-8125 to give.
The snowmobile is parked. The ice is melted. And suddenly, all those batteries you ignored all winter are no longer working. The boat just won't start. The ATV's not cooperating. Even the golf carts decided it's taking the season off. That's where Battery North Bay comes in. Boats, ATVs, motorcycles, e-bikes, solar systems, cordless tools, even the kids' Power Wheels. If it runs on a battery, chances are we've got it in stock and ready to go. We're locally owned, proudly serving Northern Ontario, and we ship Canada-wide. Stop by 1315 Main Street West or call 705-478-5400. Battery North Bay, powered up for every season. There's always that interesting point when you're younger, I think as an athlete, where you have to decide between what you're doing in your future and what you're doing in the now. And depending on which sport you're in, that's going to be like, when do you give up on the dream or when do you have to start thinking about it? So when you talk to younger athletes, what is the kind of messaging about, when you think about the future, when you think about the career that you're going to have post sports?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I think my answer would change over the years because when you are an athlete, it's a very hard thing to think about life after being an athlete. In your late teens and early 20s, that's when most people really form their identity that they hold on to for the rest of their lives. Some people hang on to in kind of weirder ways where they're always reminiscing on the glory days. Some people use that identity and take the strengths that they build at the time and apply it to different areas in their life and career. And that's the part that I like to focus on, and it took me a while to really fully understand that. When I was very scared of quitting, retiring, ski racing, because you want to move on, but it feels like you have to break through that identity that you have at the time. So that's the scary part. And once you end up quitting and you apply everything that all the foundation that you built as being an athlete and apply it to the next thing, you realize that all you're doing is just moving, just doing a shift over. So I think the life after being an athlete is far better than when you are an athlete. And that's what I always try to tell people is just write down or think about all the best strengths that you have as an athlete and realize that all those things are going to carry with you. So it doesn't really matter the career that people choose as long as they apply that motivation. Because I'm still really good friends with all the athletes that I race with and were my teammates, and all of them have gone into very successful careers in many different areas, like engineers and doctors, business owners. It's really neat to see that it's almost that the passion and almost even a bit of ego just drives them because they think if they're the best in one thing that they can be the best in something else, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, because even when you look at something like Nordic skiing or a lot of the Olympic sports or those kind of individual sports, there's not, like if you think of hockey or you think of basketball or all these things, you could play in the NHL or the NBA or whatever that top is, and that'll get you set for life. But it is a little bit different when you're in a career like Nordic skiing, where you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like there isn't that dream of I could be set forever, right? Like you have to always be thinking about the next steps. Is that kind of a fair thing to say?
Yeah, and I definitely would have approached it slightly different because the way athletes do it now, a lot of them that are on the national team for cross-country skiing is they're currently going to school. And that also helps that there's programs like Nipissing that allow you to go to school and also be an athlete at the same time. When I was going through early 20s, late teens, we were told that you need to focus on only skiing and it required all of your energy and you can't focus on school. So there was a part of my career that I was building 9 lives while I was still ski racing. And one thing I thought was really funny is that only being a graphic designer for 1 year, and I use that term loosely because I was just starting out and teaching myself, I was making more money as a freelancer than I ever made in cross-country skiing. And I thought that was quite funny, thinking that maybe as a graphic designer, I'd be ranked 5 millionth in the world, being my first year doing it, and making more money than being ranked by going to World Cups and say getting top 30s. How does that really make sense? And so focusing on what you're going to do and helping applying those things while you're still ski racing or being an athlete, I think is really key rather than keeping them fully separated. And that's how I looked at it at the time. I was doing freelance to make money, but I never really knew if it would evolve into a career or what was going to happen with it. And yeah, programs like Nipissing are perfect for that because you can at least fall back on your undergrad and fast track your future.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're going into college or university and it feels like you have to make all the decisions in your life right then. And then you what I've found is like your 20s are really for finding out like who you are and trying to get yourself on the right track. And then your 30s, you can kind of, I guess, go more in, like settle into kind of the career that you want to get into, but it's never too late to kind of start whatever you want. And that's a good example of that, right? Like you had to kind of not reinvent yourself, but a lot of the, I guess, your earlier adult years were really put into skiing. Are you currently skiing now, or is this something where, after you've done it professionally, you kind of have hung up the skis, so to speak?
No, I love skiing, and for me, exercising and skiing is also very much a social thing. So I've got friends in town that were my teammates. We all live within a couple blocks of each other. And even last year, we got a group together. There was 5 of us that did the Canadian Ski Marathon. And for anybody that doesn't know what that is, it's quite grueling, actually. It's 2 back-to-back 80-kilometer ski days. And it's in Quebec and quite a challenge. So we had to ski a lot to leading up to it to go. Do I like to go for long skis by myself anymore? Not really. But it's probably the most social and most energy I can have is getting on skis and skiing with these old teammates.
Before we get to the the North Bay, like the Sports Hall of Fame part. Favorite memory from your career skiing? Is there any one or a couple things that stand out where you just look back and go, that's the moment that sticks with me?
Good question. And there's nothing result related for sure. When I look back, the traveling is amazing. I think some of the most interesting stories. There's one. This race is a world lot at Marcialonga in Italy. That's a 70K race, and I'd been ranked on with international points, but I hadn't had any world Loppet points. And we decided we would do this when we were over there. And that race, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there's thousands of people that do it. There's probably 5,000 people that do it. And if you have world Loppet points, you get to start right at the front. Not me. I had to start about bid 500. So on a start grid at about 6 a.m, there's 500 people in front of me, and I was in really good shape at the time. I knew I can get a good result, and that was really funny because I started the race. I was racing through everybody, and over the course of 65 kilometers, I made my way up to about 20th, and I was in the final climb. And for that race, it's pretty much all flat, and the last 3 kilometers is straight uphill. And because I was trying to get through everybody, I didn't really eat enough, didn't really drink enough, and I was almost delirious by the time I got to the bottom of that hill with 3K to go. And I think I went from about 20th to 100th place, just climbing up that hill, and I was just full duck walking. I have pictures of me just like looking around, eyes glazed over. And by the time I crossed the finish line, I'm almost just passed out right at the finish line. And when I look back at that, yeah, I mean, it's probably a good metaphor for my ski career and how hard it is to grind through. But those sort of races stick with you because they're a hard fight. It's hours of grinding through, people feeling rushed, and in the end, when I look back on it, the result doesn't really mean anything. It was an incredible experience.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting lens to look at life through, especially when you get older and you can kind of reflect on things. And I'm sure I know you've talked a lot about things that you wish you did differently. But if you could go back in time to when you were younger and you were getting into into your ski career, is there one thing that you wish you would have done differently, or maybe put your effort into that you think would have maybe changed how your ski career went, or maybe made you more fulfilled with it, or anything that way?
It's again, good question. I don't really live with regret for anything, because I always do my best and it plays out the way that it can. And there's definitely some things that I know being younger that could have improved me as a skier, or things I could have done different. But those were all things that were out of my control. And that's one of the reasons, like I said, that I like giving back in coaching, because things like having people with international ski experience, being able to teach you technique and also teach you what it's like to be on the world stage, would have been very helpful for a lot of us in growing up in Northern Ontario. At the time, there's a lot of really strong Northern Ontario athletes, but the first time we went to international competition, we were starstruck and feeling very much with imposter syndrome, because we're these Northern Ontario kids that go over and we see all these like Norway, Sweden, Finland, Russia, German jackets, and these are all the athletes that we looked up to. And to stand on the start line and to feel that you're at the same level to compete with them, it took years to figure out. And we eventually did figure that out, but the fast tracking would be to have some of those people around to basically take away the wonder out of it, see the man behind the curtain, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. And it's so talking about the North Bay Sports Hall of Fame. So you're getting inducted this year, and again, you've had a very decorated career. Like especially when you look at in the realm of North Bay and being a pretty small place. Like it's 50,000 people. It's not a big city, and we've produced a number of amazing athletes out of the city, including yourself. And like you can just kind of go down the list of accomplishments of what you've been to. And again, it's nothing to kind of shy away from. So when we talk about the North Bay Sports Hall of Fame, and you've won a number of awards from there before, if you go back in the kind of mid to late 2000s, and I'm sure there's many more. What did it feel like for you to get that kind of call and reach out from the hall? I know it's not the Canadian, it's not at the top, but it's got to feel pretty special to be recognized that way even from a place like North Bay.
Oh, it was an incredible honor, and I was quite surprised to get that email, and a huge honor for me, and a huge honor for our sport in North Bay. We talked about the ski culture and the closeness that we have. So one of my first orders of business after finding out was actually reaching out to some of the people in North Bay that I'm close with that are involved with skiing to let them know, because I see it as a celebration of cross-country skiing and what we've accomplished. So because it's been a while, I haven't done an international race in 16 years. I look back on all that as more as a whole of the wave of cross-country skiing that has gone through the community. So it's an incredible honor. I went back a few times with some of the North Bay Sports Awards, but there's nothing like this, because when I went through in Memorial Gardens a few years ago, and there's that wall that highlights all of those athletes. I love reading about all athletes in all sports, and to take that walk and to see all those plaques was always really special. So knowing that I'll be alongside those athletes is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I love what you said about putting a spotlight on because it's almost, it's celebrating you, but it's also celebrating the sport. And I think when people think skiing in North Bay, they probably think Steve Omichel, but that's alpine skiing. That's not cross-country skiing, right? So to be able to put like your name and kind of attach that to cross-country skiing in North Bay, that's got to be a pretty like cool moment too, right?
Yeah, it is, because there's so many people that could be in the Sports Hall of Fame for skiing, and I look at like my sisters are really happy for me. They were both skiers, as I mentioned. Kim, who's still in North Bay, Kimberly, she was the first person out of North Bay, I believe, to win national championships. I remember it was the year before I was going into a position where I could win a national championships, and when she won, it was kind of like, wow, we can do this. And after that, it was just a wave of us where lots of medals at nationals, and then people were going to different national training centers. So it is very special.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations for getting into the North Bay Sports Hall of Fame for the class of 2026. And again, thanks for jumping on with me. It's been a pleasure to get to talk to you, and I look forward to meeting you in person in May.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
So that was the conversation that I had with Dave. Really, really interesting guy to talk to. Of course, I had the chance to sit down with Nikki Kretchen-Mills, who will be our next week's interview and talking about gymnastics and stuff. So I'm still trying to reach out to try to get as many of these people before May 2nd. So yeah, I'm continuing to do that, but we've got 2 in the hopper now. So that's kind of nice. And next week's going to be, I know you're chomping at the bit to get some more NDA stuff through the door.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's important who wins the banners, but it's important who qualifies for NASA, because typically NDA is sort of the strongest of the 4 districts, like out of Sudbury, the Sioux, and North Shore. And so NDA is often the hardest hurdle. If you get through NDA and you go to NASA, it's all new competition. You still have to try really hard and play your best, but it's typically NDA is the stronger district.
So badminton prediction. Who is going to take home the NDA banner? Who's going to NASA this year?
So for seniors, I think the Schollard's going to win the banner. And so they'll have like the most NASA entries, but it'll be like different kids for different schools. For juniors, I think it'll be Franco Cite who wins the junior banner, and then novices, I have no idea. And then the overall combined also have Algonquin, maybe? I have no idea.
You're just putting out names now. You have no clue.
I was pretty confident about Schollard and Franco, but grade
you named
9,
like 5 different schools.
Yeah, the grade 9 and the all combined, I have no idea.
So all combined is across all?
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah. Each division, each age group has like men's singles, ladies singles, men's doubles, ladies doubles mixed. And then if you finish top 5 in any of those, you get points. Like first place is 5 points, and then second place is 4 points. Or they may have changed it to just top 3 and it's 5-3-1. But anyway, so you have to add up all of those for all the schools and decide who gets the banner.
So what is the most prestigious out of all of them? What is the matchups to watch? Probably the singles, the men's and ladies singles?
Yeah, like senior for sure, because senior has OFSA to get to.
Yeah.
Like if you go and win junior, even if you win junior NASA, like that's great, but that's the end of the road. And so the senior for sure. This year, I think senior ladies doubles will be good. And yeah, senior men's singles is looking really good, actually.
Cool. So next week we will know how bad Jackson's predictions were in the badminton world. And then the following week is NASA, and we've got some NDA hockey as well. So stuff starting to get in. And then we get into, hopefully, into baseball and soccer, which we don't know exactly when they start, but I'm imagining within the first week or so of, in a perfect world, if it started the following week, so 3 weeks from now, it would be very nice.
We wouldn't even miss a beat.
We wouldn't miss a beat. But hopefully we'll have some more of the Sports Hall of Fame people in as well. I know there's 2 down, 3 to go after next week. So I'll continue to reach out and see if I can, if they're willing to come on. And then May 2nd, DeViti Club, I think you can still get your tickets. So check out North Bay Sports Hall of Fame's website to find all the information on that. And that about wraps up Sportscast number 81.
I'm Jackson Bull.
And I'm Ben Sargent. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll be back next week for another edition of the Echo Sportscast.